Okay. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you responding as quickly as you did to help us move this, and I think a little background probably explains why we're where we are. This bill's been on the books in 45.2, or I guess the law's been on the books 45.27 since I guess the late 30s, and it provides quite straightforwardly that no state Department of State Government or any political subdivision shall employ any alien for any purpose until a thorough investigation has been made and it's ascertained that there's no qualified American citizen. Now, this is not illegal citizen. This is anybody from another country. And while I say this with some care, given we don't like to talk about unconstitutional statutes and admit so, we've definitely got a real issue here discriminating based on someone's national origin, and that's the problem. The way it has come to the forefront is in the Glenn County school system. There had been some teachers employed through a teachers exchange program that were not obviously from the United States. The question was raised, the statute was raised, and for whatever reason they decided in a divided vote of the board to discontinue or non-renew these teachers' contracts, and they used this statute sort of as the cover or the grounds to do that. Felt they were even obligated under the statute. These plaintiffs then sued in federal court before Judge Alamo. He then asked the law department to come down and explain the status of this and how this could even be constitutional, and put the law department in a funny place. So they did their best to talk about that. Judge Alamo thought the state bore some responsibility for the fact that the law was still on the books and wanted the state to contribute to settling the case with the plaintiffs, and the governor felt very strongly that the state hadn't done anything wrong and wasn't interested in contributing to settlement at that time. We weren't even parties to the lawsuit, so we felt that was not a precedent we liked to set. So Judge Alamo fixed that by allowing the plaintiffs to amend the state into that lawsuit, and now we have a couple of companion cases down there in which similar plaintiffs these plaintiffs' lawyers have found similar situated plaintiffs. Now, when this lawsuit happened, either through an injunction, I'm not sure, or just by operation of agreement, these teachers were allowed to stay in their jobs. So they don't have a lot of actual damages here. I think anybody would admit that. Obviously, if there's a decision on the merits in favor of the plaintiffs, there would be an attorney's fee issue, and that's what's before us now is summary judgment motions down there. There have been some settlement discussions, and it may indeed get settled, but one of the offers the governor made some time ago was, well, we'll take it off the books. If that's the culpability that you see, Judge Alamo, we'll address it, or I'll do my best to address it this session. We're coming a little late simply because we thought we would have this settled by now, and it was a little bit of an oversight, so I appreciate the responsiveness of the committee and being willing to hear this, and it would be best for us to be able to say to the court, look, this is a moot point as to the state. We're in the process of repealing this statute. Nobody else will come along and use this statute, and even though it probably hadn't been used in this way, it was in this case, and that's where sort of the Judge Alamo stands on it. We obviously may take this action and still end up with some with a discussion with the judge about what liability, if any, the state bears. Even if that's the case, it is certainly our position that it makes sense that the state not be in this position again because we didn't deal with this statute.
Thank you, Judd. Representative Crawford, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Representative White?
Being from Glenn County, I'm kind of familiar with that case, and I think regardless of the case, we still need to correct the statute.
Yes, sir.
Does the summary judgment go to the claims against the state also, or just against the school board?
As pending now, I believe they do. We have to make this, the 15th date that I have sort of thrown out there and brought to your attention is the date the state's response to summary judgment is indeed due. Again, as far along that process, certainly reporting this favorably out of committee, it will be helpful, and we will put that in our summary judgment motions to try to argue mootness and a couple other things as to the state's liability in that lawsuit.
Mr. Chairman, if it's proper, I'd be glad to make a motion to move this out of
It'll
committee.
be proper time.
I'd make a motion that we recommend a due pass on House Bill 605.
We have a second. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. The chairman votes in the affirmative, so we have a due pass. Thank you, Judd. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate again your responsiveness.
Certainly.